2024 proved to be a long and difficult journey with anxiety. Anxiety is something that's always been there in my life, but I never really acknowledged it truly until this past year in 2024. I never really considered it to be like a legitimate issue in my life. I never really thought that I had, anything to worry about. And at the beginning of this year, or 2024, I started a new job and, other life circumstances happened. And I noticed that I just wasn't feeling good. I was feeling good physically. I was exercising and I was eating right and I was getting, I think, enough sleep, but I just wasn't feeling good mentally. And I knew something was wrong because I was just having such anxiety about everything. I was just having so many anxious and intrusive thoughts. I was unable to really drive. I was struggling to sleep and fall asleep. I was struggling to just do basic things. And I felt really just non functional as a human being. I just wasn't feeling myself. But I compartmentalized all this. I just made that my new normal, and I just accepted that that's what I had to live with, which isn't good. But that's what I did because I didn't know how to properly seek help. And so I allowed this thinking to continue for about 5 or 6 months, and I was just riddled with anxiety, and I just was not thinking clearly. I just became so agitated so quickly at the smallest things, and I just had these just absurd anxious thoughts immediately right when I woke up, and I just immediately thought of worst case scenario for like even the smallest thing that could possibly go wrong. And this all persisted, and finally I had a panic attack. And this is the first panic attack that at least I've been aware of. And I had elevated heart rate, difficulty breathing, and racing thoughts, and just really just an inability to calm myself down. And it lasted for about an hour. And this is the first time that I've really recognized it as such and recognized it as a true panic attack. Um, and so that was scary. That was a little bit alarming to me. So I decided to read a couple books to try to get myself more educated about anxiety, and just what it is. But that really didn't seem to help because again, it was me trying to fix my own problem. And so I allowed this to kind of just continue. I didn't really do much about it after the panic attack, and I didn't seek any help to treat my anxiety. Um, and I noticed that I just slowly was starting to become depressed. And again, I didn't really recognize it because I allowed this anxiety to just become my new normal. And so I wasn't really thinking clearly, and I didn't really recognize the depression when it kicked in. And at the same time, I was also struggling with being burnt out at work. So I feel like I had all these factors that kind of came into play all at one time. And then I had another panic attack. But the difference with this one was that it was at work. And this is the first time that I really, or at least recognized that, anxiety was beginning to affect my working life. Um, but to follow the similar pattern of last time, I didn't do anything about it just because I didn't know how to correctly get help. And so I just kind of brushed it under the rug again. I just kind of fought through that panic attack and didn't do anything about it. And then I had another panic attack a few weeks later. And finally, I just had to leave. I had to take the rest of the day off because I was just basically I felt like I was just non functioning as a human being. I just couldn't think. I just couldn't calm myself down, and something was just wrong. So it was that same day that I decided to sign up for therapy. Um, and so I began therapy for a few weeks, and it was okay. It was nice to get an outside perspective and just to get another voice um, in my life about it. But it really wasn't truly helping in the way I was hoping. I know it takes a while, but it wasn't really. I wasn't. I wasn't seeing any change. Um, and again, during this time, I was exercising very regularly, so I was getting enough exercise. I was eating right, and although it was taking me a couple hours to fall asleep, I was staying asleep for at least 6 hours. It just something else was wrong, and I finally was encouraged to speak with a psychiatrist. And so after some back and forth in my mind, because I didn't really want to, but I felt like I needed to, I finally set up an appointment and I spoke with a psychiatrist. And after that first meeting, just after I kind of described what it is I'm feeling and all the symptoms that I've been having and just my journey with it over the year, um, she the psychiatrist said that I had generalized anxiety disorder. And that was alarming to me at first because I didn't really know what that meant for me. I didn't really know much about it and I didn't know how common it was. And that was the first time that I really recognized anxiety as a true issue, um, and something to actually seek healing for and look at as a legitimate, you know, look at it as the same way as you would an illness where you seek treatment or you get medicine. And so I was prescribed anxiety medication, and at first I didn't take it for about the first month. And then I finally kind of caved into trying it just because I was just hesitant to try that. I finally did, and after about the first week on that, it helped a lot. And I'm about, I think, 6 or 7 weeks in now, and it's helped a great deal. I can finally drive again a lot better. I can finally, I feel like, think a little bit more clearly. And I definitely feel like I'm on the road to healing from this anxiety disorder, or at least being able to better manage it, and not have it control me. Um, and so this has been a learning process, and it's still a learning process, and I'm just on the journey now, and I'll see where it takes me. But it's really been a fascinating year, and it's really been a fascinating learning experience for me because, when you work a job, you really never know what somebody has going on behind the scenes. And I think one of the bigger lessons that I've got from this experience and this experience that I've had to navigate is that I I need to seek to be more understanding of people, and I need to be more cognizant of what somebody may have happening in their own life behind the scenes, because you can talk to somebody at work and they can be smiling, making jokes, but you never know what's happening behind the scenes. You never know what's happening in their personal life. You never know the stress or circumstances they may be facing. And so I think that through all this, while while I'm still on the journey to healing, I think that I can begin to be more understanding of people, and more understanding of different perspectives. And so I feel like when I think about software engineering and just how I think about it, I I need to do a better job at setting boundaries between my personal and professional life, and I need to do a better job at recognizing the signals of when anxiety is starting to creep back in. And especially now that I know I have this anxiety disorder, I have to take extra precaution to know when I am facing signs of a potential panic attack, because I know it will probably happen again. But now I feel like I'm better equipped to manage it and also have now the resources and help available to me um, to help beat it. So I need to do a better job at recognizing when I need to take time off or just step away from whatever situation it is for the sake of my own mental health. And so I feel like in the software development community, we all recognize how stressful this job can be, and how mentally demanding it can be. And so I feel like if we all make strides to better recognize the signs of anxiety or anything similar, I feel like we can be more understanding people and be there for one another in this community. Um, because it's hard enough to have to go through, whatever it is you have to go through, but it's even harder if you have to do it alone. And for me, if I had been alone, I'm not sure that I would have sought the right help, but it was through support of family that I was able to seek out the help of a psychiatrist, and also therapy. But I don't think I would have done that on my own accord. So if you are facing a similar struggle, or if you have concerns that anxiety might be too much to handle or too much just to manage in your own life, just know that help is out there, if you seek it out. And for me, I just made an appointment, and within a week, I was seeking help. But it's just about taking that first step. And there are people out there who are willing and able to listen, um, and provide sound advice. But again, this has just been my journey with it in 2024, and I'm like, I've just started this really what I call healing process. So I'm interested to see what 2025 is going to hold. Um, but overall, my one goal in 2025, now knowing that anxiety is a legitimate issue in my own life, I'm trying to be more understanding and have a greater deal of empathy for people. Um, and yeah, it's really just been a learning experience. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one.